Okay, GLHF, and we are heading into another game. This time it's going to be third match. Let's see if the third time is going to be the charm and the match is going to be starting without any kind of problems. Ah, yeah, it is, and it's, oh, Alfheim. Oh, I love that. I love this map. It's so nice to look at. It's going to be nice casting for me, hopefully for you as well, of course. And as far as the gods go, we are going to be having a mirror of sets. And that means that is going to be pretty equal map. And of course, since we are on Alfheim, which is a boomy map, so of course, or rather booming, not really boomy all that much, like it is closed. It's a bit difference between boomy and closed. It's a closed off map, which does favor Egyptians, and I'm kinda curious what they're gonna go. If it's gonna be classical fighting, that's usually what was done with set in the olden times. They cannot go for second TC, of course, in the classic rate, so either they will just hurry up into heroic, which is not really that effective for set, to be honest. We'll be really expecting that at least one of them will try classical fighting, because that's what set is good at, and he might be just even surprising the opponents. Let's see, or rather the opponent, because it's just a 1v1. At any rate, let's go have a look around the map. We can see pretty standard hunt from GrandMonster on the left side, as he's having the, unfortunately, his gold quite forwardish. Even though it's at least next to the tower, it's not that great. He does have some natural protection with the cliff. So potentially he could somehow wall up, probably here, to even protect a bit this TC. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a disadvantage for him. And something that maybe Joe could be taken advantage of, because he's having back gold on the opposite side of the map, as you can see. And that's of course going to be allowing him to be quite a lot safer than his opponent. And it means quite a good advantage for him to be had. Otherwise, next to the TC at the back, he's having not only a few hunt in there, a little hunt, some deer and some elks in there. Also, much more importantly, this gold. This is super important gold because it's fairly safe-ish. It basically doesn't get any more safe than this. Whereas his opponent is having no gold like that. He's having TC at the back, but absolutely no gold like this. And his next gold is in the middle. So he will definitely be forced into a bit more aggressive approach. We'll be probably expecting really that he will be setting himself up next to the gold mine fairly easily and fairly soon into the game. As the middle TC, there is actually, I don't know who is it front. It's actually, oh, it is actually Joe's. Yeah, you can see this is front of Monster, which is horrible in its own right, behind the cliff. Yeah, literally doesn't do anything. Doesn't capture any kind of part of map or whatnot, as he's right now converting the bear to his side. But really, this town center is going to be super important. And since it is the town center of Joe, even though it looks much more like GrandMonster's front TC, well, let's be honest about that. It's basically one screen away from his home TC, you can see on one screen. This is horrible for Joe. Well, he does have the gold, which GrandMonster doesn't. So right now, it's up to them. Joe is having safe gold, and GrandMonster is having better TCs. So, who's going to be winning? It's going to be up to the tactical decisions of the players and how well they actually scout the map. A lot of gold, of course, on the right side, which is potentially available for GrandMonster. But yet again, it's behind. It's behind this wall of stone, making it kind of hard to defend for himself and potentially quite open to some kind of raiding from his opponent, as there is a way through in here, just a passage. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting map. It will a whole lot defend, or rather depend, on how well the players will scout and how well they will know what's actually happening around the map. It will decide the game quite definitely. At any rate, trying to steal the elks, not really wanting to move all that far away or whatnot. Potentially this hyena is going to be having a bit of fun as well with the priest. Let's see. Right now even Red cannot really stop this because he will be just resetting his counter. So right now he's getting the elk. That's going to be second one coming also for him, as he's basically right now thinking that he's stealing hunt from his opponent. Yeah, well, not really. Not really, because he's having the chickens in there, he's having berries, and otherwise just 2 elks in there, which is potentially enough food for him, especially as an Egyptian. But yeah, it's not going to be a bad hunt at all. At any rate, finishing with the hunt on the right is Joe, who is having a bit more food at his disposal. Definitely nice bonus for him, still having the berries and the chickens inside his base. Finishing with the monument and going to be continuing with the houses. And since we are at 4.5 minutes, you'll quite probably see advances into the next ages, especially with the temple done. And for the opponent, the temple is already done as well, or not? Ah, yeah, it is done at the top with some nice walling, trying to protect those gold miners, but maybe just a bit too close. I'm kind of thinking some slingers could still be shooting from about here. But yeah, that's going to be the tower, so yeah, who cares? Still, the slingers will not be able to get there so soon. Anyway, Ptah coming for Joe, of course. He's going to be faster heroic in, coming for the armory. With a bit of annoyance by the bears, apparently. Trying to scout about his opponent and see what's gonna happen. So, is it going to be actually a passive game from both? Shifting Sands going to be stealing... Oh, 3 villages, that sucks. Oh, and counter! And this is actually much worse, because he even stole the animals. He stole the animals that are gonna die in here. And he even stole quite a significant amount of cows. Yeah, there were cows on the top side. You can see quite good scouting with Joe a bit earlier, but still, those cows are going to be missing. And GrandMonster is getting a bit of extra bonus in here, because he probably stole... Joe stole a few cows from his opponent as well, so he just basically took them back. I think with a bit of interest. I really think that he did. At any rate, armory coming up from GrandMonster is already going to be quite later. He has probably seen through the Shifting Sands shenanigans that armory is coming up for Joe, so that he is aiming for the heroic age. Some bears in there, and well, of course, he's actually trying to counter-convert them. Interesting. Interesting option in there from GrandMonster. At any rate, he's having a few villages still on the hunt. Kinda curious what's going to be happening after. And he finishes. He should be probably switching into... He still does have enough chickens. The armor is coming up quite slowly, so unfortunately for him, he's going to be slower into the heroic age. But right now we don't really have all that much to talk about, as both are hurrying up into the next age. So let's, for example, check some economy upgrades on the units and the economy. So, pickaxe. Pickaxe for Joe. His opponent GrandMonster is having also pickaxe, so that's the same. And well, let's for example check the relics. We're having plenty of them on this map. That's better villager hit points. Well, that's a good one. That should be taken. That should be taken by any of the players. Another one for faster infantry training time. Also another very important relic in this fight, because you might be seen between sets barracks fight. Wall and gates. That could be saving a lot of resources. And Hippaspis, rather Axeman, that's going to be important in here. Hack damage. Very good relics, and I'm kinda confused why the players are actually not taking them. They should have scouted plenty of them already. So, yeah, I really would be expecting that either of them would be already picking them up. Who is leading on score? Just slightly Joe. But nothing really all that significant. Let's check the post game and the timeline. Population. Okay, you can see there's a bit of a difference. And in the civilians, there was an advantage for GrandMonster for a moment, because of the faster advance time for Joe, of course. But then we are right now at pretty much the same spot, as they are advancing both into the heroic age, I'm guessing. And just waiting for what's gonna come next. Not sure. But definitely this TC is going to be super important. It should be basically the first order of business once GrandMonster advances into heroic age. I'll be expecting that will be what he will do. And otherwise for Joe, I'm not exactly sure what he's gonna do. He might try to advance forward on this gold. He's definitely aiming there, looking at the priests. Already been ready there. And contrary to what I thought, GrandMonster is actually advancing into the heroic age faster. That's surprising to me. Looking at how it was actually going, I was expecting Joe to be the first. Right now he's coming for the Migdal into the choke point to halfway guard the gold, and much more importantly, basically guard the way inside his home base. So that's super important for him. And I'm not exactly sure why he is gathering. Why is he gathering from chickens when he has actually bears decaying right next to it? I mean, like, what's the point? Of course, because hunting is a whole lot faster. Yeah, well, anyway. That's a bit of a mystery to be resolved later, I guess, as the Migdal is already up, and the Migdal on the other side is up for GrandMonster as well, who has been able to secure the super important gold, because he doesn't have any gold behind his base. Yet again, have to remind everybody of that, as that is super crucial for the game. Because we are in Egyptians against Egyptians. Heimdall, no, it's just qualification today and tomorrow, and then there are going to be about 4 weeks of elimination bracket. So still plenty of games to be had. In this tournament hosted by AOL Destroyer for 500 euros. Definitely pretty decent amount of money, especially for vanilla. So it's going to be Siegeworks for him. Apparently the battlefield has been decided. It's going to be in here, next to his gold mine. But I kind of think that actually GrandMonster doesn't need to push it. He just needs to basically wall on this part. Literally put a short wall in here, then a wall here, exactly as Joe was attempting to do. And you are having 3 gold mines, 1, 2, and 3. And you are also having pretty sweet trade route from here to there, or rather to this TC, sorry. Could be getting quite close to actually the battlefield, but yeah, we are seeing the first engagement first. And let's see how this goes. So far, of course, the advantage of the faster heroic age is coming through for GrandMonster as he's having a bit more units. And, well, choosing the elephants might be actually the winning condition for him, because you can see that right about now AoM is probably not all that ready for that. He's just going full on chariot archers, but the elephant here and there added into the army from GrandMonster, that will be disrupting the gameplay quite significantly, because not even the camel is going to be strong enough for that. But nice kiting by Joe. This is well played. Very well played by Joe. He's buying himself time, basically just luring the elephant around. You can see this is just ridiculous. Finally GrandMonster noticed. Because the elephant should be just coming into the chariots and working as a tank. Because that's what he was supposed to do, but wasn't, because of very nice micro by Joe in there. But that's not going to be true anymore. Not going to be true anymore. And of course, right about now, the advance is going to be moving forward. Ancestors right now from both sides. And of course, it's going to be up to who is having a bit more priests, and apparently it's going to be GrandMonster, because that's literally just Pharaoh for Joe, and those priests, they should be getting rid of all of those minions fairly easily, together with the Pharaoh, who is already picking up the relic, or not, apparently not, but the elephants are still coming for GrandMonster, and Joe is finding himself in a very precarious situation, to be honest, because he doesn't seem to be really ready for this situation at all. You can see even some extra priests coming still from the temple in his home base, and this is going to be very horrible loss for AoM Joe, because he's going to be losing this Migdol. I mean, push forward, don't wait here, you need to get rid of the Migdol. This is a mistake by GrandMonster, and a very bad one, to be honest. He needs to be pushing the advantage, because right now he's basically giving time to Joe to actually get back on hit feet. How many military buildings does he have? All we see is just those... Actually just one barracks. I was thinking there was a bit more. But right now the push is going to be quite real. With triple elephants, the siege tower, and potentially even more siege towers coming up. And this is going to be very hard to deal with for Joe, because he's having just literally against chariot archers and priests. And on top of that, one camel. He's going to be making a bit more from the Migdol. But doesn't seem like that it should be really standing, because even though the elephants, he can kill them through the extra damage that potentially, if he is shooting at there. No, he isn't. And right now he should be shooting at the elephant. He didn't have granulations apparently. The Migdol is gone, and right now it's going to be up to Joe to rebuild, and he's already going to be TC behind, because that's exactly what GrandMonster is doing. Picking up the third TC for AoM Joe, and since the one on the left, which is the front of GrandMonster, is basically out of reach for the red player, he's going to be left with the only one at the back. And well, not exactly sure how long this is going to be lasting him. He does have the gold, which seems to be fairly secure. If the Migdol does come up, he potentially still could be having an open road into the golds at the top, because they are not really guarded by GrandMonster at all. Right now he's going for a bit of scouting finally, as he's just having a look around to see where his opponent is or isn't, as he's taking even a 30C, and he's still going to be having one in the backs at the back if he needs to, which I don't really think that he will be needing all that much. Right now he's just taking his time, which I think is just a bit more careful than it needed to be. He just needs to basically just now have a look around the TC and push for it. Basically make sure that his opponent is not going to be capturing it, as Joe is just now using the opportunity and going for a bit of radiant himself with decent amount of chariots himself. Yeah, well, right now of course he's going to be paying for that. GrandMonster for being so passive. He's just right now hanging with the army, right now coming back, even though he doesn't need to all that much. I really think that he should be pushing a whole lot more. He needs to be keeping Joe on his toes, but he's not. And that's basically allowing exactly this. And it might be really bit by bit come, or rather, bring in Joe back into the game, which is something that GrandMonster does not want, and I kind of think he cannot really even afford. Because since he has built the town centers right now, he potentially could be having a bit of issues with economy, especially for the elephants, because making villages from 3 TCs is a whole lot more difficult than from just one as far as economy goes. So together with very expensive elephants, he might be having a bit of an outage of them, and that will be playing into the cards of Joe. So, important engagement. Let's see how Joe actually plays it. Was able to get rid of one of the elephants, but those siege towers are going to be a bit of a problem. Right about now, GrandMonster should be sending them right into the mouths of those horses, pulling those chariots. He needs to get them as close as possible to basically soak up the damage. So yeah, this should be engagement quite definitely going for GrandMonster. And it seems to be. Yeah, just getting the crocodile there. Not exactly sure how crocodile got to Alfheim, which is basically like some kind of Norway or whatnot. But yeah, but it just happened in there from set. But the same could be said about Egyptians, what they are doing in the northern realms. But anyway, right now we are looking at pretty convincing push by GrandMonster. That Joe has basically very limited chances of pushing back and even just stopping for a moment, as there is going to be gold gathering from GrandMonster next to the TC on the left and already a market, which is definitely going to be signaling that he is quite comfortable and will be advancing into the mythical age in a reasonable time. So yep, this engagement is going exactly as would be expected. Somebody just trying to deny the siege towers at least a bit, with town center just finished, and a few mercenaries are going to be helping in the engagements in that. Oh yeah, well, let's see. Let's see about that. Some upgrades in the meantime. Do we have something for the military? Probably not. I don't think so. Let's look at the camel. Yeah, well, we don't. And it's a GG, as Joe is recognizing that this game is lost, and it definitely is. Could have been potentially a bit faster by GrandMonster if he pushed forward in the moments that he should have. I think he played a bit more cautiously than he needed to. But in the end, what does it matter? He won anyway. So of course, good job on that. So yep, that was a nice mirror between sets on Alfheim, and it went for GrandMonster, so good job on that. Let's check the post game. Well then, well, GrandMonster of course winning everything. Why not, when he was getting the extra TC so much sooner and such, so it would be expected. And you can see the difference in the civilians because of the TCs. Basically 1/3 more villages. A third more villages for GrandMonster than for Joe. Exactly the TCs where the economy started getting fishy for Joe. Okay then, GG.